That's how he laughs every time. Good morning, YouTube. Flake Hollow here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a movie that you've probably heard of called Suicide Squad. Yeah, I never really was that hyped for the movie, but my friend wanted me to come watch it, and I'm like, sure, why not? So I ended up going with a group of friends, and we ended up going and watching Suicide Squad. So I'm gonna share my insightful opinions with you. First of all, I have to say it was kind of weird in the fact that it managed to go above my expectations in some regards, but somehow also just completely just dropped the ball in others. On one hand, the characters were a lot more tolerable than I thought they were going to be. It was a lot less like the trailer with all the goofy antics. It was a lot more to the punch with some of the characters. But on the other hand, the actual structure of the movie just really, really missed the point of what I thought it would be and what it I think should have been. I assumed, with it being the Suicide Squad and all, that they were actually going to go on multiple missions, or at least a few missions, just to show off the characters' abilities. For example, we have a world-class hitman assassin who should be doing all these things. We got that one scene with it, but his skill set never got shown off again. Like, oh, he's mowing down a giant group of things. Well, that's not what Deadshot's supposed to be about. And beyond that, just the way they put all the beats together, they introduce, hey, here's this super god power entity that we gain control of. And then 5 minutes later, whoops, we lost control of it. This is literally what we were trying to avoid. A little on the nose, little too beat by beat, but also weirdly not beat by beat. Like it took the simplicity and predictability of that cliche movies thing, but it didn't take any of the good act, first act, third act. It just kind of just kept running, and it was just like a constant uphill with a few moments of levity just sprinkled in to just kind of group it. But when you actually put it into perspective, those moments of levity, they're really out of place and they don't make any logical sense. Although if we're getting on logic in this movie, okay, you have a Suicide Squad, right? The next Superman, they have their own Superman, And I'm going strictly by the in-movie reasoning for the squad coming together. You have Enchantress, who has apparently no limit and never really set limits on her powers. That was didn't really explain that well. And then you have the Fire Guy. You could just win with those two, realistically. Just send them anywhere, and you win the day. But no, yeah, we need a guy who's really good with guns, Boomerang Man, a crazy chick who is really athletic. That's all Harley Quinn is. In this context, what does Harley Quinn bring to the table? I get why she's in the movie because she's a fun character, and in comics, it's awesome and amazing. But in the context of the movie, it makes zero sense why you would just have a crazy chick who's really athletic. She fights good, I guess, but when you have a guy who can just fire and a god tier witch, what else do you need? But of course in the movie it has reasonings and makes them all useful in some way, so. And then the bad guys, they get introduced super early, and the powers aren't explained, they're just god tier powers, and later on they end up fighting in the little big boss fight, and somehow they don't get murdered immediately. They just kind of stand around oh, join us. It's or you could just kill them. Just the conflict in general was just hilariously so... they literally set it up immediately, and then right after they set up all these different tools and the ways they do everything, they immediately use all of them to just ignite the conflict. Usually you put the gun in the first act, and then in the third act, it fires. But they put the gun in the first act, and then immediately within the first act still, they shot off the gun right after. I mean, it's not it didn't build up, it didn't have the right build up as I feel like it could have. Speaking of the build up, the 40-minute exposition dump that was the end of the first part of the movie, where they're just setting up all these billion characters that they decided to shoe in this movie. Movies like Avengers and even Justice League, people know these well-known characters from either building up in the movie or with the Justice League, I guess, just because they're colorful enough. I mean, at least in the Marvel big team-up movies, you kind of have time to learn the characters and stuff. And I guess Guardians of the Galaxy did it, but you learn the characters more through action. But they try to explain all these really bizarre and just insane characters by describing them. And they talk about the characters So it's not even that clever. But to be fair, a lot of them were fun. Deadshot, in particular, was probably my favorite in the movie. He was pretty great, actually. Kinda. He had some really stupid moments. Which, of course, gets me to Harley Quinn. Look, I love Harley Quinn. If you've ever played Injustice: Gods Among Us, that was one of my favorite interpretations of Harley Quinn as a character, where she's a strong, independent woman who can she's a baller, running her own crime syndicate for funsies. But this movie took one of those more basic routes where we can just have her say random stuff and kill people. LOL, I'm gonna break a thing and get a purse, Mr. J, and it's like, they don't take her seriously. She has no depth. She's basically just the zany, crazy girl, athletic chick. And what kind of makes it worse is that throughout the movie, they have various male characters commenting on how insane she is, but man, she's so hot, but she's so crazy inside. And it's like, they keep making that. They stick that point in like 4 or 5 times. And you think by doing that, they're building up to like her having this more down-to-earth moment. And they kind of do. She kind of has like 1 or 2 moments like that, but she kind of just lives up to the thing, and that's it. And then the moment that she does do it, it was so cheesy and just like most of the other characters, she had so much potential, and she had funny lines like all the other ones, but it just kind of blended together with everything else to just make this weird, amorphous mess. And of course, DC keeps trying to stick it home that we're a connected universe. Look at Batman. He's here. Look at Flash for 5 seconds. We're a movie. We're a thing. Oh, look at the ending. We have Bruce Wayne getting the files. Why would he get the files if they already have the Lex files? But whatever. And they're just like, yeah. And it's Suicide Squad, I have to admit, is the best of the DC, of the whole 3 movies in the DC universe, cinematic universe. I know people get angry when you compare it to Marvel, but Marvel has done the cinematic universe. They've just had it been going on for so long that they just have it. And when DC's trying to play catch up, it's kind of funny. But to each their own, I wish them the best of luck. That's not to say I don't have much positive to say. I really liked the music. The music was really fun. I liked all the diversity of the characters, and I don't mean in diversity, but I mean like in their powers and movesets. From a story standpoint, it makes no sense, but from like, oh, look at these cool comic book characters, it's just really cool. I think Captain Boomerang could have had more of an impact, but whatever. Amanda Waller was evil and horrible and ruthless, like she should be. I actually kind of really liked the backstory that they gave each character, and when they all had like their own moments to show what they're about, I think it fit. Also, another complaint I have is that you have all these really fun characters, but they don't really interact that much with, like, surrounding, considering the entire action part of the movie is, like, set in, like, an already, like, evacuated and destroyed city, so. And now we get to Jared Leto. Now, when the thing came out, look at the Joker, damage. Everyone loved to hate on it. I hated the design, but I was like, hey, maybe they'll do a good job. Maybe it'll be interesting. And they had the trailers, and he was like, That's how he laughs every time. And then I was a little bit less interested. I was a little bit like, oh, maybe it's not. And then I actually go to the theaters, and I go to sit in the seat, and I wait to watch the screen, and eventually Jared Leto pops up there. He has his little field day. He's like, it's gonna hurt a real lot. And he doesn't have charisma. Oh my god. I just figured out. I've been thinking about it. I didn't even know what I was going to say when I turned on the camera. I had everything else in mind except for Jared Leto. I just have in my notes, it just says Jared Leto, and that is all it says. And I just realized what the problem with Jared Leto's Joker is, and that is that he has no charisma. I think Jared Leto can have charisma, but his Joker doesn't. He's just this weird, creepy guy that you don't want to hang out around. And I mean, you don't want to hang out with any of the Jokers, but he just doesn't have that presence that the other ones do. Yeah, they have people running and being afraid of him and like following him like to the core like Joker does and being this crime guy. But the whole time he just looks ridiculous. Like he'll wear a suit and he'll just have it open so his like body's showing like, yeah, I'm the Joker, but I'm also gangsta. And it's like, that's not the essence of the Joker. The Joker is more mastermind. He cares less about the people, you know? Also, I just don't like the whole crazy characters. I like controlled chaos. Same thing with Harley. Is the problem is that they think that, oh, chaotic, that means just silly randomness, right? No. A good chaotic character isn't just do random things. A good chaotic character is having weird motivation. It means they have motivation and they have reasons for doing everything, but they're more reckless or they're more willing to go beyond what others would. And that I think is more an interesting take. Jared Leto, he's just sitting there being the Joker. Let me lay down in the circle of knives and stuff. That was a really dumb scene. Oh my god. And I mean, it has its moments. There was times when I liked some of the stuff he did, like the whole escapes and all these things. It was cool. Showed that he was like more of a smart guy in these ones than he kind of is. But his presence, his on-screen presence, is like the way he's just presents it. It wasn't fun. I went into the movie just trying to have a good time, and I had a good time. But at the end of the day, I just don't think it's a good movie. They keep trying. Poor DC. I empathize. I love the characters. I love the TV shows. They're ridiculous, but they have fun with it. DC had a lot more fun with this movie than they normally does. And I liked it because of that. It exceeded my expectations. But somehow they just made the story the story was worse than any of the other stories. The story just didn't hold up, and it was so illogical and a little bit too silly at times in a bad regard. I just don't like it. If you've seen the movie, tell me how you think of it in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. I'm Flank Hollow, and I hope you have a nice day.